On the 31st of December 1980, police dispatch in St. Paul, Minnesota receive a call at about 3 a.m. about a potential homicide. The caller sounded hysterical as he was describing what had happened.
Yes, please, this is an emergency. Please send a squad to Pierce Butler Road, Molenberg Manufacturing Company, machine shop. Please, there's an ambulance too. There's a girl hurt there.
Can you tell me what happened to her?
Just hurry, she's laying on the ground in the back by the railroad tracks, by the edge here. Hurry.
What's the address?
I don't know.
Who are you?
When police arrived at the scene, they found 20-year-old Karen Potak brutally beaten, suffering severe blunt force trauma to the head. She was alive, but just barely. Paramedics rushed her to the hospital, and for a while it wasn't clear whether she would survive. Doctors later described her recovery as nothing short of a miracle. She did pull through, but the attack left her with no memory of what had happened that night. At the time, investigators believed the man who called the police was simply a distressed passerby, someone who had stumbled across the scene and ultimately may have helped save her life. However, this turned out to be much darker than it appeared on the surface. Roughly 6 months later, on the 3rd of June 1981, police discover 18-year-old Kimberly Compton in Minneapolis, brutally stabbed dozens of times. Investigators quickly conclude this was a homicide, but they didn't expect this just mere hours later.
You find me? I just stabbed somebody with an ice pick. I can't stop myself. I keep killing somebody.
Fire emergency.
Please don't talk, just listen. I'm sorry I killed that girl. I stabbed her 40 times. Kimberly Compton was the first one over at St. Paul. I don't know what's the matter with me. I'm sick. I'm going to kill myself, I think.
Where are you?
I'm just going to... If somebody dies with a red kid on it, it's me. I killed both of you. I'll never make it to heaven.
Calm down.
It's clear to authorities at this point that they're dealing with a potential serial killer. Months pass at this point. Then, in 1982, another victim was found. Kathleen Greening was found dead in her Minneapolis apartment, drowned in her own bathtub. And there was no frantic phone call that followed this homicide. The silence didn't last too long, because on August 21st, 1982, a woman named Denise Williams accepted a ride from a man in Minneapolis. At some point during that drive, the situation turned violent. He attacked her with a screwdriver, the same type of weapon used in the murder of Barbara Simmons just weeks earlier. Denise fought back bravely. In the middle of the struggle, she grabbed a glass bottle and struck her attacker repeatedly in the head, enough for him to flee and seek medical attention, calling for an ambulance back to his own apartment. When the paramedics and police arrived to treat his head wounds, they grew a bit suspicious. Not only did his injuries match the description of the attacker Denise had just described, but his voice was the ultimate giveaway. During questioning, his voice shifted into the high-pitched, whimpering tone familiar to dispatchers. Denise later identified him as her attacker, and ultimately this was enough to connect the dots. The man was identified as Paul Michael Stefani, aka the Weepy Voice Killer. He's arrested on August 21st, 1982, and in 1983, Stefani stands trial and is found guilty of the murder of Barbara Simmons and the attempted murder of Denise Williams, ultimately landing him 58 years in prison. For over a decade, Stefani remained in prison for only one murder and one attempted murder. He was suspected in several other attacks, but there was not enough physical evidence. In 1997, Stefani is diagnosed with terminal skin cancer and is told he has very little time left to live. And in December of 1997, he contacts the police and his family, stating he wants to set the record straight before he dies. He confesses the crimes he was never convicted of: the 1980 beating of Karen Potak, the 1981 murder of Kimberly Compton, the 1982 murder of Kathleen Greening. And in 1998, Paul Michael Stefani dies in the prison infirmary at Oak Park Heights at the age of 53 years old. On November 8, 2010, at approximately 9:35 p.m., an emergency call was made to Ontario police by a young girl who sounded very distressed.
Where are you, ma'am? Ma'am, calm down. What? Some people broke into our house. Okay, to show us all his money. Okay, ma'am, where are you? What? Avenue Road. Yes. Can you spell the street name for me, please? Dad? Ma'am. Hello? Hello? Yes? Ma'am, I need to know your address. Avenue Road, can you please spell it?
Helen Avenue,
This was the voice of 24-year-old Jennifer Pan. Although it seems like a genuine emergency call made by a distressed person, underneath the exterior was a far darker and calculated motive than anyone realized at the time. To understand how it reached this point, you have to go back long before that phone call. Jennifer's parents, Hue Han Pan and Bik Ha Pan, were refugees from Vietnam. They arrived to Canada with very little, determined to build a stable life for their future children. Han worked as a tool and die maker. Bik assembled car parts. Working hard long hours, they managed to purchase a home by 2004 in Markham, Ontario. All in all, they seemed like a regular family, nothing suspicious to report. Jennifer's parents were very strict on her as they demanded excellence in their household. But despite this pressure, her grades remained average, on the 70% marks. And rather than just admit to her parents, she began forging report cards. When she failed calculus in her final year of high school, Ryerson University rescinded her early admission. But instead of telling her parents, she left the house every morning pretending to attend classes. For nearly 7 years, she maintained the lie. Later, she told her parents she'd been accepted into the pharmacology program at the University of Toronto. She even bought secondhand textbooks and filled notebooks with fabricated lecture notes, just in case they had asked to see them. And for years, they did believe her. Until one day, her mother decided to follow her, and when she found out all of it was a lie, her movements became very strict. Her phone was monitored, her movements were limited, and she was forbidden from contacting her boyfriend, Daniel Wong. She was 24 years old, yet she was living under rules more strict than when she was a teenager. And somewhere inside that pressure, something inside her shifted. Through Daniel, Jennifer was introduced to people willing to do things most people wouldn't even speak about. Small-time criminals, men who just needed some money. And eventually the idea was no longer hypothetical. A price was discussed, something around the range of $10,000. Money that investigators later learned would allegedly come from a life insurance payout. According to Jennifer, the men stormed into the house, dragged her from her bedroom, and bound her hands behind her back with shoelaces. She claims they forced her downstairs where her parents were confronted at gunpoint. Money was demanded, and the house was supposedly searched. Then, in a matter of moments, gunshots rang out throughout the hallway. Her mother was shot in the head. Her father was shot in the face. Her mother tragically passed away instantly. Her father, however, miraculously survived. Weeks after the shooting, Hue was able to speak with detectives. What he told them directly contradicted his daughter's account. He said Jennifer hadn't been dragged downstairs, she hadn't even been forced at gunpoint, and he strangely recalled her calmly walking down the stairs, speaking to the intruders as if she knew them. In that moment, the narrative collapsed. As investigators dug deeper into Jennifer's life, the lies about the school, her secret relationship her parents forbade, the mounting pressure at home, they began to form a motive. This had all the telltale signs of a contract killing. In the weeks leading up to the shooting, Jennifer had been in constant contact with individuals connected to her boyfriend. Among them were men with criminal histories, men who detectives would later allege were hired out to carry the attacks. Under further questioning, Jennifer's story continued to shift. At times she denied knowing them, at other times she admitted to recognizing one of them. And on November 22, 2010, Jennifer was arrested and charged with first-degree murder, attempted murder, and conspiracy to commit murder. Daniel Wong was also arrested. During the trial, all motives were examined. She was going to receive a life insurance policy of about $500,000. However, the most powerful testimony came from her father. Hue took the stand and recounted the night he was shot. He described seeing his daughter walk down the stairs calmly, like she knew exactly what was happening. This was enough. In December 2014, after months of testimony, the jury had reached a verdict. Jennifer was found guilty of first-degree murder in the death of her mother, and guilty of attempted murder of her father. Daniel Wong and the hired gunman were also convicted on the same charges. The sentence was automatic. Life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years. In 2023, an appeal overturned the attempted murder convictions due to legal technicalities, ordering a new trial on that specific charge. However, the first-degree murder conviction and the life sentence attached to it remained. To this day, Jennifer Pan remains behind bars.